Another day, another story. Historical graves reveal corpses with iron rods through their chests, sickles across their necks, and padlocks on their feet. The belief that the dead can rise from their graves is an ancient one, and so too is the desire to make sure the dead stay buried. Welcome to Tabo Eminent Channel. People throughout history have used rocks, iron rods, sickles, padlocks, and other methods to prevent corpses from reanimating. These practices seem to be rooted in the idea that if a corpse got up again, it might harm the living. Scholars have posed many theories about why historical people feared the walking dead. Some may have worried that those who died under unusual or taboo circumstances were more likely to come back again. Others may have believed that people who died of particular diseases could continue spreading them after death. The phrase 7 ways the living tried to keep the dead in their graves encapsulates a profound exploration of the various methods employed by societies across cultures and time periods to preserve the memory of the departed. One of the most prevalent methods is traditional burial practices, wherein specific rituals and customs are followed to ensure a peaceful resting place for the deceased. Embalming, the process of temporarily preserving the body, provides an opportunity for extended viewing before burial, allowing loved ones more time to bid farewell. Additionally, the construction of mausoleums and tombs stands as a testament to the enduring respect for the dead. These structures not only serve as final resting places but also symbolize the ongoing connection between the living and the departed. Memorial services, anniversaries, and commemorative events provide opportunities for family and friends to come together, sharing memories and celebrating the lives of those who have passed away. Grave markers and headstones play a crucial role in preserving the memory of the deceased, serving as tangible reminders of their presence. Furthermore, cultural and religious rituals offer solace and ensure the peaceful transition of the departed to the afterlife. These rites, often deeply rooted in tradition, vary widely but are universally aimed at honoring and remembering the dead. Lastly, efforts to preserve historical burial sites and cemeteries contribute significantly to keeping the dead in their graves. Historical preservation initiatives not only maintain the physical integrity of these sites but also preserve the stories and legacies of those interred there. These methods collectively reflect the living's profound desire to respect and cherish the memory of the deceased, ensuring that their influence continues to be felt long after their physical presence has departed. Whatever the reason, here are some of the ways that people have tried to keep corpses in their graves. 1. Bury under rocks. Ancient Greeks worried that a body, once buried, could rise from the dead as a revenant and harm the living. Archaeological findings suggest that ancient Greeks tried to prevent this by burying corpses under heavy objects. In an ancient Greek colony on Sicily, 2 graves show possible anti-revenant practices. One contains an adult corpse whose head and feet were covered with heavy ceramic fragments. The other contains a child whose body was covered with 5 large stones. Archaeologists discovered these graves in a necropolis that dates from the 5th to the 3rd centuries BC. 2. Iron rod through chest. Medieval Europeans feared the walking dead, too. Superstitions about vampire-like creatures varied by region, and there were multiple beliefs about how to make sure a corpse didn't rise from the dead to sicken or kill the living. In the ancient city of Paperikon in Bulgaria, archaeologists discovered the remains of a 13th-century man with an iron rod from a plowshare through his chest. His left leg was separate from his body and laying beside him. In addition, researchers identified 2 14th-century skeletons in Sozopol, Bulgaria, buried with a plowshare rod or other piece of metal piercing their bodies. 3. Brick in mouth. Stories of vampires and other undead creatures may have helped communities explain outbreaks of disease. Scholars theorize that performing an anti-vampire ritual on the body of someone who died of a particular disease could be a way of trying to prevent that person from rising and spreading their sickness. Archaeologists have suggested that this is why a 16th-century woman found in a plague grave in Venice, Italy, was buried with a brick in her mouth. The brick may have been intended as a way to prevent her from harming others and spreading the plague after death. 4. Soil in mouth. Different regions in Europe had different conceptions of what vampires were and how they used their powers. In Germany, the Nachzehrer was a vampire-like creature that stayed in its grave and harmed the living supernaturally by chewing on its burial shroud. The belief that corpses chewed on their burial shroud may stem from the fact that a corpse's purge fluid could cause the burial shroud to tear at the mouth, making it seem as though the corpse had been chewing on it. A 1679 tract called On the Chewing Dead said that a person could prevent a Nachzehrer from harming the living by stuffing its mouth with soil to prevent it from chewing. The tract suggested a rock or a coin in the mouth could also work. 5. Sickle across neck. Another historical method of preventing the dead from rising was burying a corpse with a sickle across its neck. This may have been a way of ensuring that if a corpse tried to get up, it would decapitate itself. In Drawsko, Poland, archaeologists discovered 4 people buried with sickles across their throats in a cemetery used during the 16th and 17th centuries. In addition, the archaeologists identified one woman with a sickle across her pelvis, as well as a rock on her neck and a coin in her throat. 6. Padlock on foot. Archaeologists discovered another woman buried with a sickle across her throat in a 17th century cemetery in Pion, Poland. But in addition to the sickle, there was also a padlock tied to her big toe. Near her grave, archaeologists identified another corpse with a padlock on its foot. This corpse was that of a young child who was not only weighted down with a padlock but buried facing downward. These padlocks suggest that whoever buried these corpses was afraid they might get up again, and wanted to pin them in their graves. 7. Burning the organs. In the 19th century, tuberculosis spread through New England, causing people to cough up blood and suffer painful deaths. In an attempt to stop the spread of tuberculosis, then known as consumption, some New Englanders began digging up the bodies of people who had died of the disease and burning their organs. New Englanders did this because they thought that the people who died of tuberculosis may have been somehow spreading the disease to others after death. This 19th century vampire panic is one of the clearest examples linking the historical fear of vampires and other undead creatures to disease. In the small town of Willowbrook, nestled among rolling hills and ancient oaks, the cemetery stood as a testament to the community's deep respect for the departed. Every gravestone told a story, etched with names and dates that marked the passage of time. The townsfolk believed in honoring their ancestors, and they did so in unique ways. One autumn evening, young Emma discovered an old journal in the attic of her family home. Its pages were yellowed and fragile, filled with handwritten accounts of long-gone relatives. Intrigued, Emma began to read about the town's history, uncovering tales of bravery, love, and resilience. Among the stories, she found vivid descriptions of the town cemetery and the rituals practiced by their ancestors to keep the memory of the dead alive. Inspired by these accounts, Emma embarked on a mission to revive some of these traditions. She organized a community event called the Festival of Remembrance, where families gathered at the cemetery under the soft glow of lanterns. Each family brought a favorite dish of their departed loved ones, creating a communal feast in their memory. As laughter and stories filled the air, the cemetery transformed into a place of celebration, where the living and the dead seemed to merge in a timeless dance. The townsfolk also revived the ancient art of crafting personalized grave markers. Skilled artisans were commissioned to create intricate sculptures and engravings, capturing the essence of the departed souls. These markers not only celebrated the lives of the deceased but also showcased the town's rich artistic heritage. In addition, the community started a storytelling tradition. Every full moon, families gathered around the oldest gravestones, sharing tales of their ancestors. These stories ranged from heroic adventures to simple acts of kindness, emphasizing the diverse tapestry of lives that had once graced Willowbrook. Over time, the Festival of Remembrance and the storytelling nights became cherished traditions, fostering a deep sense of belonging and continuity among the townsfolk. The cemetery, once a place of quiet reflection, now echoed with laughter, music, and the warmth of shared memories. Emma's efforts not only preserved the memory of the departed but also strengthened the bonds within the community. The cemetery, once a repository of the past, had become a vibrant testament to the enduring spirit of Willowbrook, where the living and the dead coexisted in harmony, bridging the gap between generations and ensuring that the legacy of the town's ancestors lived on. In the heart of a bustling city, where skyscrapers towered over the streets, there stood an ancient cemetery, forgotten amidst the urban sprawl. For years, the cemetery had been neglected, its gravestones weathered by time and indifference. However, one passionate young woman named Maya was determined to breathe life back into this forgotten place. Maya, an archaeologist with a deep appreciation for history, stumbled upon the cemetery while researching her family tree. Intrigued by the stories that might lie beneath the crumbling stones, she rallied a group of volunteers and embarked on a mission to restore the cemetery to its former glory. Their first task was to meticulously clean the gravestones, revealing the names and dates that had been obscured by years of grime. As they worked, Maya and her team discovered fascinating tales of the city's founding families, artists, and visionaries. Inspired by these stories, Maya organized guided tours, inviting the public to explore the cemetery and learn about the lives of the people buried there. To further engage the community, Maya initiated a unique project called Living Memories. She encouraged families to share anecdotes, photographs, and mementos of their departed loved ones. These personal stories were then curated into a digital archive, creating a rich tapestry of the lives that had once graced the city. The archive became a testament to the diverse backgrounds and experiences of the people who had shaped the community. As word spread about Maya's efforts, the cemetery began to buzz with activity. Artists transformed the pathways into galleries, displaying sculptures and paintings inspired by the stories of the departed. Musicians performed concerts, their melodies echoing through the tombstones, honoring the memory of composers and music enthusiasts who had found solace in the cemetery's quietude. One of the most remarkable transformations occurred during the annual Night of Illumination. On this night, the cemetery was aglow with thousands of flickering candles, illuminating the darkness and casting a warm, golden light on the gravestones. Families gathered around the candles, sharing stories and memories, creating an atmosphere of reverence and connection that transcended the boundaries of life and death. Through Maya's dedication and the community's involvement, the forgotten cemetery became a vibrant hub of activity and remembrance. It stood as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, demonstrating that even in the face of neglect, the memory of the departed could be revived and cherished, weaving a tapestry of stories that bound the living and the dead in a timeless embrace. Thanks for watching. Request you to subscribe the channel.